This is Brent coming at you with our fourth overhead squat assessment video. In this video, we're going to break down the sign feet flat. I'm going to have my friend Leanne come out. Leanne's going to help me demonstrate feet flat. I want to give you guys a few more ways you can look at this sign to make sure it's happening if you're having a hard time identifying. So first things first, I'm going to line her up with feet parallel, second toe pointing forward and in line with her hip. That's in line with her ASIS. Now, from an anterior view, what I think you guys are going to notice as she does her overhead squat is if you look at the ankle and foot here, go ahead and squat, you guys are going to see a little bit of this. All right, and back up. She gets a little bit of her arch back, and then her feet go, which is a little bit of eversion. So that's foot flat. If you didn't see that, you're having a hard time seeing what I'm talking about. You could turn off just a little bit, view at an angle, and this time what I want you guys to look at is this medial arch. There should be a space between these bones and the platform they're on. If all of a sudden as they go down into their squat, they lose that, they no longer have space there, that's also feet flat, right? They lost that medial longitudinal arch, which again is a sign of eversion. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and turn her all the way around. If you're still not sure, you still want a little bit more proof that this person has feet flat, you might be able to look at the heel, the calcaneus. You guys should note a nice straight line between the Achilles tendon and the heel all the way down. What I think we're going to see with Leanne, because she has this foot flat dysfunction, is actually a little calcaneus valgus, where her calcaneus, her heel bone, does this. So if she drops down to the bottom of her squat, what you can see here is that once straight line is now veered off a little bit, right, on both sides. These are all signs of feet flat dysfunction. All right, thank you, Liam. Now the question is, what do I do with this information? Well, I know what good posture looks like. I've identified the sign. Now I have to consider what joint action correlates with that sign. In the case of feet flat, it's ankle eversion. Right? So ankle eversion, if I'm doing too much eversion, that implies that my everters are short and overactive. Right? So my everters are my fibularis and my lateral gastroc. If my fibularis and lateral gastroc are short and overactive, that means the opposing muscles are going to be long and underactive, which would be my inverters, which are my anterior and posterior tib. Where the overhead squat assessment does get a little complicated is some of these signs correlate with other joint actions that aren't so obvious. Most of the time our lower leg dysfunction is driven by an inability to dorsiflex. So an inability to dorsiflex, bring my knees forward this way, would be the same thing as having excessive plantar flexion. In essence, my plantar flexors are what is restricting my ability to dorsiflex. So that goes on our short side, and you guys know what your plantar flexors are. Those are your calves. That means the opposing muscles, of course, are then long and underactive. That would be my dorsiflexors, which is again my anterior tib. So now I've made my list. The question is, what do I do with it? Well, short muscles need to be what? Lengthened. And if they're overactive, before we even lengthen them, we need to tone them down. That's where our self-administered release techniques come in. So you guys could do those self-administered release techniques for these muscles, and you guys can look those up on my videos. You guys could then even progress that to active release in time. Your lengthening is going to be all of your static stretching to start with, eventually progressing to active and dynamic. My long structures, these are the structures I want to activate. I want to get them more active, more involved, get them stronger. So these guys, you guys can go ahead and look up isolated activation. You could even progress that eventually to reactive activation. And then you guys are going to start picking some exercises to start integrating these exercises. I can tell you when it comes to lower leg dysfunction, one of our great integrated exercises is all of those single leg activities, so single leg balance with excursion or single leg deadlift touchdown. I hope what I just did for you guys, going from feet flat to the chart to kind of discussing how we create a corrective exercise program helps you guys create some very successful corrective programs. I look forward to breaking down more dysfunctions in the future.